as we do each and every Sunday at this time. We go to the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room from Fox 29 and 97.3 ESPN.com, Scott Grayson. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, Billy. What's going on this Sunday?
Did you like that entry?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. Hey, Scott, right before you got on, Josh and I were talking about the dysfunctional Eagles locker room. What's going on down there, Scotty?
What are you speaking of, Billy? Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I got to believe that behind the scenes, they've reached the point where I think a lot of the fans have gotten to, which is, listen, something needs to change because, you know, the definition of insanity, you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Well, they're doing the same thing over and over again and they're getting the same results. So if you want something different, you got to do something different. And you're starting to hear some different things going on. Like you're going to see more of Jalen Hurts this week, just more snaps and perhaps some of them without even Carson Wentz on the field, which is a different thing. So, okay, you're trying to do something different. Clearly Carson Wentz is still going to be the starter. And I wouldn't expect that to change until they get to the point where maybe they've start seeing the playoffs slipping away, the division title. And you look at some other things. I mean, they finally are making the move to put Jason Peters at right guard and put Mailata back at left tackle. I think that move has been weeks from, later than it should have happened. And then, you find out that it doesn't look like Zach Ertz is going to play as well. So, there's some things kind of working in the Eagles' favor. They're doing some things that I think are actually good moves that are going to help them have a better chance to win. And unfortunately, not having Ertz, they need him back. Wentz needs to have that comfortable receiver there. But I like the things they're doing different on the line, and I'm cool with seeing a little more Hurts, perhaps without Wentz even on the field, because it's just a wasted player. You're going 10 against 11 when you leave Wentz out there as a receiver. Come on. They're not throwing the ball.
That doesn't make any sense. You know what, though, Scott? Listen, man, you kind of felt this happening on draft night when they picked Jalen Hurts, didn't you?
I don't know. First, I was
I did.
I was like, wait, that's who they – And after you started going through it a little bit, you said, well, why would they have taken him? And it's maybe to make the offense a little more dynamic. You can try to look, if you have that kind of player, you have the ability to be creative in the way you call your offense, in some of the things that you try to do, because you're going to force the opponent to have to game plan a little bit for what happens when Hurts comes into the game, because clearly he's got a different speed when he takes off and runs than Wentz does. He has a different skill set. So you have to kind of get your players prepared for how you're going to manage those plays when he's in the game. And so I think, you look at that and you say, okay, well, this is something the Eagles haven't really tapped into as well as they potentially could have. And at the same question, you start looking at, well, why did they take him? Did they take him because they wanted to develop him a little bit and then maybe trade him? Did they take him because they wanted to develop him and maybe decide to keep him instead of Wentz? There's that answer is still out there and unknown at this point. But I am encouraged to see that they're going to do a little bit more to try to throw the Seahawks off balance, because at this point they need to do those kind of things to try to win these games.
They got to do something, Scott Grayson. We're talking with Scott Grayson from Fox 29 News. Of course, you can read his articles on 97.3 for Grayson's Grades on 97.3 ESPN.com and catch him every Sunday on Sports Sunday there on Fox News. Grayson, Then we hear that Jeffrey Lurie doesn't go to Cleveland, and he left practice in a huff the other day. And, obviously when you're losing, stuff like this comes out, so it doesn't surprise me. But I wonder how bad it is, because we're not down there. You're not. This is all virtual, so you guys not being allowed into the locker room or into the meetings, the press conferences. It's almost like you're removed from it. You know what I mean?
We are. We're definitely insulated from getting that vibe you get when you're around the players. You can hear them say something, but you read body language, you may feel something different. Anybody out there, any conversation you have with anybody in your family, you kind of know, well, you're saying one thing, but I'm sensing something different. I get the sense that's what's going on down there. And I'm not surprised that Jeffrey's upset, because this division is so clearly there for the taking. I got to believe, all owners in this division, Jerry Jones included, as you probably saw Thanksgiving Day, thinking, I can't believe that they got smoked by Washington like they did. That's what Jerry Jones has me feeling. So Jeffrey Lurie's looking at this and saying, how is this team not competing right now? Well, they're competing for a division title, which we'll use that term loosely. How are they not winning this division right now? I mean, they could have had this division wrapped up at this point if they had even 8 wins, 9 wins. Division's over. I mean, you've locked it up.
Right.
So I think he's looking at the product on the field and he's trying to figure out where have we gone wrong, because that's ultimately what's going to have to happen. Jeffrey Lurie has to figure out where have we gone wrong and how do we fix this thing. Is it Howie? Is it Doug? Is it Carson? It's all the same things we've been talking about for the last few weeks.
And now for the $64,000 question, Scott, is Doug Peterson's job on the line this year?
I keep going back and forth about that because if I'm Doug and Jeffrey brings me in and he starts asking me about the team, I say to him, I was like, well, look at the roster that I had to coach with this year. Look at the lack of depth that I had at certain positions. That's not on me. And
yeah,
so
but you know what, Scott? A lot of teams, even Seattle, who are going to face Monday night. I mean, they dealt with an injury bug. A lot of teams have been dealing with the injury bug and are not playing as poorly as the Eagles.
My ultimate prediction here at this point, as we stand here today, Billy, is to look at this and say I don't think Doug will lose his job, but there will be some coaching changes. And another one that Jeffrey could kind of demand of Doug is to say, I don't want you calling plays anymore. Get an offensive coordinator. You manage this team. And I don't know how Doug will take that, or, at least have a,
yeah, but I find, Scott, I find that funny too, Scott, I find that funny too, because Doug Peterson is a former quarterback. I mean, who else would you want calling plays?
Well, he's a former quarterback and he was under Andy. We all know Andy kind of called the plays when he was in Kansas City. But they need somebody to be more like an offensive coordinator. If Doug still calls plays, there needs to be somebody more like Frank Reich was to Doug Peterson. There hasn't been that since Frank left.
Yeah, but hey, Scott, how about Scott? Hold on, let me interrupt you for a second. How about all the great quarterbacks that Doug Peterson played behind? Dan Marino, Brett Favre. He's worked under Holmgren, Don Shula. I mean, Doug Peterson's been around.
He has. Yes, he has. And you would expect to have – all that, though, Billy, is why I sit and I look at this and I go, well, how are you calling the game the way you're calling the game right now? Because you would think a quarterback understands the value of a good running game. And every time he gets out to a good start with the runners, with Miles Sanders like last week, then he goes away from them seemingly for the second and third quarter before trying to tap into them again when it's too late. That's not, to me, being run like the way a quarterback would want his offense run, to be able to throw the ball well. Because you understand if you're a quarterback that to throw the ball well, I need to establish a run, hold those linebackers and the defense in check just a little bit to make sure we're not running the ball, and then take advantage of a guy who's open downfield. That's not happening here.
No, it's not. We're talking with Scott Grayson. You can follow him on Twitter at @SGrayson, Fox29. Of course, you can see him every Sunday night on Sports Sunday. And, Scott, I got to tell you, man, last week, I mean, the Eagles opened their opening drive. They marched the ball 71 yards down the field, nine runs, 1 pass, only to have Miles Sanders fumble the ball on the 4, and then they get away from the run. I think in the second half, they only had like 10 rushes for like 6 yards or something like that.
Yeah, that's my problem. You saw that kind of productivity. You're going, wow. I mean, sloppy field, sloppy weather conditions. Maybe they're going to stick to the ground and ride Miles Sanders here. Now, I was watching Miles on that opening drive carry the ball a little bit like LaShawn McCoy, like a loaf of bread out in one hand. I'm thinking it's raining. You got to cover that thing up. And sure enough, he fumbled, unfortunately. And I wonder how much that fumble changed the way Doug decided to call the game after that. Was he too afraid that there would be more fumbles? How much did that play a role in everything? And you just don't know. But, you look at that and you say, look, this team can run the ball. Miles Sanders, in my opinion, somebody should be sitting there, and don't worry about what the pass rush balance is, but somebody needs to be sitting there to do Staley. Go into the game and say, we've got to give Miles Sanders 20 carries on the ground at least. He's only had 16 and 15 the last 2 weeks. He's got to have at least 20, maybe even more. And so you're telling him, and occasionally Doug's saying, how many's Miles got? Well, Doug, he's got 10. We're at halftime. We're right on pace. We're doing good. Okay, you get into the third quarter. You go into the fourth quarter. How many carries does Miles Sanders have? He's got 16. Okay, let's give him a few more, and let's try to see if we can ride. granted, you're going to play the game situation, a little bit, but there should be a pitch count on Miles Sanders with carries, because I think that offensive linemen will tell you it's easier to block the run.
Yeah.
And running backs, they want to be fed more. You feed them enough and finally to break one, and Miles has shown he can do that. Feed him. Let him get the chance to hit one.
Deuce Staley is the offensive run coordinator. Then you got Press Taylor's the passing coordinator. We got all these coordinators, and obviously there's too many chefs in the kitchen. That's what my philosophy is on that. Yeah, I definitely think that once he fumbled the ball, Doug got away from it. He thought, but this isn't the first time it's happened. And Scott, over the last 2 years that you and I have been doing this, I've been like begging for them to run more often. We're just not going to see it out of Doug Peterson.
Well, it sounds like somebody had a bit of a come to Jesus moment this week. If we're getting Jason Peters moved from left tackle and Jalen Hurts going out there without Carson staying on the field, you never know. Maybe Billy, this will be the time Miles Sanders gets 25 carries, and we're talking next week saying, "Wow, look at what happened," and they may have pulled off a big win. Who knows?
I hope so, Scott. All right,
we'll see.
Let's look forward to Monday night's game, Monday night matchup. The 7-3 Seahawks come to town. The Eagles have not beaten the Seahawks in the last 6 games. They've been beaten, and Seattle leads the series 11-7-0. The last time the Eagles beat the Seattle Seahawks at home, September 10th, 1989, Scott Grayson.
I think I was actually at that game.
I know I was.
So, yeah, but, so everything you're talking about, right, it all points to the Eagles losing another game. And I said last week, if they lost, I was not picking them again until they come up with a win. Now, I think, they've been competitive. You think back to the earlier game, nobody gave them a chance to beat San Francisco in San Francisco, and they won that game on national television. I think they're going to be competitive Monday night. I really do. But I don't think they're going to win. And
I was going to say, Scott, you better not be picking the Eagles.
I'm not. No. I'm saying I think it'll be an entertaining game. I think they'll be competitive, but I'm not picking the Eagles. I'm not. I think Seattle's going to win this game 31-24. So I think the Eagles will be within a possession at the end of the game. But, I just don't see look, Seattle's defense is not the greatest. It's not as good as it has been in the past. But they just have not. Jim Schwartz has not defended Russell Wilson well enough in any of these games, which is why Russell Wilson has never lost to the Eagles. And I don't think it's going to happen Monday night. I hope it does, but I just don't see this being a game the Eagles steal.
All right, there you are, Scott Grayson, 31-24. You think the Eagles going to score 24 points, huh?
Teams have been scoring on Seattle, and I'm kind of curious to see if maybe some of these changes they made will actually be for the better.
All right, Scott Grayson, as always, we really appreciate your insight and look forward to it each and every Sunday. Have a great Sunday.
All right, you too, Billy. Thank you.